What happens when you take a sci-fi monster that hunts for sport across galaxies and you trap it in a city where the power grid just completely died?
Well, you definitely don't get a sprawling sci-fi epic.
No, you don't. You get this incredibly gritty, claustrophobic, true crime slasher.
Right. It completely flips the script on what you expect from, both a superhero story and an alien invasion narrative.
Yeah.
It forces these larger-than-life characters to fight on the most uncomfortable, grounded terms possible.
And that is exactly the mission of today's deep dive. We are walking through the complete story, from the first sweltering page to the final explosive climax of Predator vs. Spider-Man.
Such a wild book.
It really is. It's written by Benjamin Percy with art by Marcelo Ferrer, and we're sourcing our breakdown today from the incredibly detailed analysis over at Comics FM.
Awesome.
We are going to unpack how you collide a friendly neighborhood superhero with a ruthless alien slasher and actually somehow make it a masterpiece of tension.
Because on paper, it sounds absurd, right? Like the tonal mismatch is just huge.
Exactly. I went into this thinking it was going to be that classic kid logic scenario, just smashing your two favorite, entirely unrelated action figures together to see the sparks fly.
Yeah, totally.
But Percy and Ferrer, they don't do that. How do you even begin to ground a spacefaring monster in the street-level world of Spider-Man without it feeling completely ridiculous?
Well, the key is that they weaponize the environment.
Yeah.
The writers don't bring Spider-Man to space, and they don't have the Predator attacking the Avengers in broad daylight.
Right.
Instead, they drag the Predator down into a brutally grounded reality. The story opens right in the middle of an oppressive, historic New York City heatwave.
Ugh, the worst.
And that isn't just a backdrop. It is the actual instigator of the entire plot. Marcelo Ferrer's art brilliantly renders the city in these suffocating hazy orange hues. You can almost smell the sizzling garbage on the street corners.
Oh, man, it's the kind of heat that makes you irritable, then miserable, and then just completely reckless.
Exactly.
The narrative establishes right away that because the city is literally baking, violent crime is spiking, everyone is pushed to the edge. And amidst all this heat-induced chaos, a completely new, terrifying type of murder emerges.
Which brings us to Detective LaPearl.
Yes. We meet Detective LaPearl. She's investigating an abandoned building that's been taken over by squatters. She's literally crunching on ice just to stay sane in the heat. And she finds a victim that hasn't just been killed. They have been surgically skinned.
The contrast in that scene is vital. You have LaPearl dealing with this horrific, almost clinical butchery, noting that specific parts like jaws and fingers have been removed as trophies.
Right.
And meanwhile, entirely mundane city life goes on around her.
Yeah, and speaking of mundane, while LaPearl is analyzing a flayed corpse, Peter Parker is just trying to pay his rent.
Standard Peter.
Always. He's on the phone with Jonah Jameson, who is threatening to fire him because Peter's latest pitch was about, a puppy parade. Jameson wants blood and sensationalism to drive ad revenue.
And Peter's about to deliver it, purely by accident. The transition from Spider-Man's typical daily patrol to the horror element is remarkably abrupt.
It really is.
Which is a very intentional pacing choice by Percy.
Right, so Spider-Man interrupts a violent robbery. A crew wearing bug-eyed masks opens fire, grabs some cash, and speeds off in a van. Spidey is right on their tail, but he has to stop to save some kids and a dog playing in the spray of an open fire hydrant.
Classic friendly neighborhood stuff.
Exactly. But by the time he tracks the robbers to their dimly lit warehouse hideout, the tone of the comic completely fractures.
Because the audience gets to the warehouse before Spider-Man does. We see the robbers arguing over the cash, completely unaware they are being hunted.
Yeah.
And then just a pair of glowing primal eyes in the dark.
And it is terrifyingly fast. Claws tear a thug's face open with this visceral, sickening sound effect printed right on the page. The thug is silenced by a blade through the chest, and then the killer steps into the light. It's a Yautja, a predator wearing green cloaked armor, but here is where it crosses the line from sci-fi action into pure psychological horror.
Yeah, this part is wild.
This predator takes the torn, bloody flesh of the thug's face and stretches it over its own metallic mask. The alien mandibles pierce right through the human skin.
It's a grotesque visual. And when Spider-Man finally lands inside that garage, he doesn't find a supervillain waiting to monologue.
Nope.
He finds flayed remains suspended in heavy chains. He instantly realizes this isn't a mob hit. He calls Jameson and tells him they're dealing with a serial killer.
I have to push back on the lore here for a second, though.
Okay.
Because I look at this predator wearing human faces like some kind of macabre hermit crab, and it just feels fundamentally wrong for the character.
How so?
Well, wait, isn't a Yautja bound by a strict, almost religious warriors code? Like, they hunt for honor. They want worthy adversaries, not just random thugs in a garage. This sounds more like a chaotic slasher villain.
You're totally right about the standard lore, but that is the genius of the story. If you play by the established rules, it's just another sci-fi action comic.
Oh, okay, fair.
By stripping away that honor code, Percy shifts genres entirely. This specific predator, who they dubbed the Skinner, is a disgraced outcast. He has completely abandoned his species' traditions.
So he's essentially a rogue element.
Precisely. And by making him an outcast, the story transforms him from a noble intergalactic hunter into an unpredictable, sadistic serial killer.
Wow.
He isn't hunting for sport. He's hunting for the thrill of fear. He wants to inflict terror. That choice perfectly aligns the alien mythos with the gritty, true crime underbelly of New York. The Skinner is essentially a sci-fi Jack the Ripper.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. It isolates the monster. And just as the Skinner is establishing his bloody dominance, the environment strikes its final blow.
Yes, it does.
The heatwave breaks the city's infrastructure, the power grid completely fails, over 8 million people are plunged into pitch darkness on the hottest night of the year.
I mean, think about the last time you lost power in your home.
Yeah.
Remember that creeping sense of vulnerability when the screens go dark and the ambient noise just stops?
Yeah, it's so unsettling.
Percy takes that universal modern anxiety and scales it up to an entire metropolis.
And he puts characters we care about right in the worst possible places. The blackout scenes are straight out of a horror film.
Oh, absolutely.
Mary Jane Watson is trapped on a dead subway train deep underground. She's trying to calm a severely claustrophobic passenger. They're using the dying light of a cell phone to look out the window into the pitch-black tunnel.
Such a tense scene.
And then the Skinner leaps out of the darkness and presses that flesh-covered mask right against the glass.
Ferrer's artwork in that panel is just brilliant. The heavy use of negative space, the stark shadows, it makes the reader feel as claustrophobic as the characters. The sudden deprivation of light turns the subway into a literal trap.
Meanwhile, above ground, the blackout forces the entire city into a harsh pivot. At the Daily Bugle, the digital network is dead. So Jameson, ever the opportunist, forces his staff to fire up analog backup generators.
Naturally.
They start printing physical broadsheet newspapers, hiking the price up, and sending paperboys out into the dark streets yelling warnings about this Skinner.
And that analog shift is the perfect catalyst for introducing Kraven the Hunter.
Yes. One of those paperboys is cornered in an alley by muggers. But before they can touch him, a massive arrow pins one mugger's hand to the wall.
Such a classic Kraven entrance.
Kraven steps out of the shadows, takes the newspaper, reads about this apex predator, and his obsession is instantly ignited. Kraven heads straight for the underground garage where Spidey found the skinned robbers.
And he isn't horrified at all.
No, not at all. He's admiring the Skinner's work. He respects the precision of the anatomical trophy collecting.
Kraven starts tracking the Skinner using massive bipedal reptilian footprints left in the dust. When Detective LaPearl shows up and draws her gun, Kraven doesn't even use a weapon.
He just embarrasses her.
Totally. He effortlessly disarms her, strings her up using one of Spider-Man's leftover web traps, and heads into the night to claim the ultimate trophy.
Which is delightful because everything suddenly gets so primitive, right? Newspapers are printed on backup generators, people are trapped in the dark, and Kraven is literally tracking footprints in the dirt.
Yeah.
It's ironic, right? The Skinner has active camouflage, plasma casters, hyper-advanced alien tech, but the story systematically strips all our human technology away. Is this whole point to show how helpless we are?
It's actually the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah. Stripping away civilization doesn't make us helpless. It levels the playing field. The blackout forces New Yorkers out of their modern complacency and into a state of primal survival mode.
Ah, I see.
And that state is exactly where a character like Kraven thrives. It's a contest of raw instinct over technology.
Because he doesn't rely on the grid to begin with.
Exactly. It's no longer a question of who has the better weapons. It becomes a question of who is the superior tracker in the dark. Kraven is hunting an alien that relies on thermal vision and cloaking, but Kraven uses smell, sound, and instinct.
He represents the apex of human predatory capability.
Precisely.
But ironically, it's Spider-Man's reliance on modern technology that inadvertently turns a local serial killer case into a full-blown intergalactic incident.
The dual narrative tracks really start to shine here. Kraven embraces the primitive, while Peter desperately clings to the modern.
Right. Since the internet is down, Peter goes to the public library to dig into physical history books. He finds the bloody symbol the Skinner leaves behind linked to historical human atrocities like photographs from the 1945 Battle of the Bulge.
It's a great little piece of lore expansion.
Yeah, he realizes Yautja have been coming to Earth during times of extreme crisis, like wars and plagues, to hunt.
But Peter's investigation is undermined by a critical, everyday error he made hours earlier.
Right, because before the blackout, Peter uploaded a high-res photo of the Skinner's crime scene to his Google Cloud, hoping to send it to Jameson later.
Just a standard backup.
A simple cloud backup. But that specific digital footprint triggers a hidden alien algorithm out in the cosmos. It's an automated distress beacon of sorts, and it summons a trio of honorable Yautja to Earth.
But it's crucial to understand their motivation here. They aren't here to hunt humans. They are essentially an execution squad. They have been summoned to eliminate the disgraced Skinner for violating their sacred code.
And their arrival turns the comic into an incredible collision of genres. They track Peter's digital signal right to the Daily Bugle. They crash through the windows just as Spidey is looking at his evidence board.
And suddenly, we're in an action movie.
Spider-Man is fighting 3 predators at once.
Wow.
It is high-tech, acrobatic action. He's dodging plasma blasts, using his agility, and he actually tricks 2 of the predators into headbutting each other by webbing their masks.
It's classic, witty, dynamic Spider-Man.
It really is.
But while you have this sci-fi martial arts blockbuster happening up in the sky, Percy masterfully contrasts it with what is happening below ground.
Yeah, below ground is pure, visceral nightmare fuel. MJ, the claustrophobic woman from the train, and a homeless man they met are navigating the pitch-black sewers to escape the tunnels.
So creepy.
They stumble directly into the Skinner's den, and they find a literal throne constructed of human skin and bone.
It's a monument to the Skinner's madness, and the tension relies entirely on sensory deprivation. They hear a woman crying for help in the dark, but the homeless man warns them it's a trick. The Skinner is mimicking its past victims to lure them in.
Yeah, and to hide their heat signatures from the Skinner's thermal vision, the homeless man forces MJ and the woman to jump into a pit of screaming, writhing sewer rats.
It's intense.
I physically cringed reading this part. It's like jumping into a dumpster to avoid a bear, but infinitely worse. Imagine the smell, the sound, the texture.
Horrifying.
And the homeless man doesn't even make it into the pit in time. The Skinner drops from the ceiling and impales him, leaving MJ buried under the rats, utterly terrified but hidden.
It perfectly encapsulates the thematic duality of the Predator franchise. The movies have always straddled 2 genres, right? The advanced alien warrior above and the unseen, terrifying monster stalking in the dark below.
Right.
Percy isolates both elements and runs them simultaneously here.
It also makes you rethink the role of modern convenience in survival. I mean, Peter is a certified genius, but a simple cloud backup brings an alien hit squad crashing into his office. Is technology actually the biggest liability in a hunt?
Exactly. Technology leaves a trail, instinct keeps you alive.
Yeah.
Above ground, you have high-tech sci-fi action with Spidey. Below ground, it's pure, visceral, sensory horror for MJ. She has to literally submerge herself in the filth of the city to mask her humanity.
So we have the high-stakes sci-fi battle on the rooftops and the slasher horror in the sewers. And eventually, these 2 completely separate worlds are forced to converge for the explosive finale.
May the best man kill.
Right. The catalyst for that convergence is the sheer destruction above. The fight between Spider-Man and the Yautja execution squad triggers massive explosions at the Daily Bugle.
And the noise and the tremors are so massive that it actually draws the Skinner away from MJ, pulling him up from the sewers and onto the streets.
Yeah, the Skinner climbs up to the rooftops and immediately encounters one of the honorable Yautja from the hit squad. And if you were expecting, like, a grand, honorable duel of blades, you don't get one.
Not at all.
The Skinner just effortlessly impales the honorable predator from behind, lifting the body up and roaring, basically proving his sadistic methods are superior.
But the Skinner's arrogance is his downfall. While he is distracted by his victory over his own kind, he completely fails to notice what has been stalking him through the shadows this entire time.
Kraven.
Kraven.
Kraven ambushes the Skinner on the rooftop, and the artwork here by Ferrer is just just savagely beautiful. It's a blur of Kraven's tactile, brutal fighting style against the alien's sheer size. Green and red blood is everywhere.
It's so visceral.
Kraven doesn't rely on gadgets. He relies on ferocity. He chops off the Skinner's fingers to disarm him, drives a hunting knife straight up through the alien's jaw, and finally decapitates him. Kraven stands there, bathed in blood, holding the severed head, letting out a primal roar. He secured his ultimate trophy.
But the Skinner, even in death, has a failsafe designed to spite his enemies.
The severed arm. The gauntlet on the Skinner's severed arm starts glowing and beeping. It's a self-destruct bomb, and the narrative makes it clear it is powerful enough to level half of New York City.
And this is where Spider-Man swings back into the narratives. He's battered and bruised from fighting the execution squad, but he sees the countdown and understands the stakes instantly.
Spider-Man forces Kraven to sever the arm completely from the gauntlet, and then Spidey basically has to play the most terrifying game of hot potato ever played.
Literally.
He snatches the bomb with his webs, wraps it in thick layers of webbing to try and muffle it, and just dives off the edge of the skyscraper. He is swinging frantically toward the river.
And the comic gives us this beautiful internal monologue here.
Yes. In these final seconds, knowing he is holding a nuclear-level charge, Peter doesn't hear the sirens. He doesn't think about his legacy. His mind is entirely focused on Mary Jane's safety.
He hurls the bomb deep into the water at the last possible second. The underwater detonation shakes the bedrock of the city, sending a massive geyser into the skyline, but the city holds. Millions of lives are saved.
Which begs a massive thematic question. Kraven gets the kill. He takes the head, proving he is the ultimate apex predator. But Spider-Man saves the city. So who actually won this hunt?
It's a brilliant resolution because they both won, but their victories are purely reflective of their core identities.
Right.
Kraven's victory is entirely selfish. He proves his dominance and secures his prize, uncaring if the city burns behind him.
Wow, yeah.
Spider-Man's victory is entirely selfless. He sacrifices the glory and nearly his own life to protect the innocent. Both characters achieve their defining victories in the exact same moment.
That's beautifully put. And the explosion settles, but the fallout of this hunt changes the destiny of everyone involved. Spider-Man, battered but alive, finally reunites with Mary Jane by the river. They get a quiet moment under the moonlight, simply acknowledging that they survived the nightmare.
But the implications for the rest of the Marvel Universe are much, much darker.
Yeah, they are.
Detective LaPearl and Jameson are searching the rubble, and they discover one of the Yautja from the hit squad in an alley. It's heavily wounded, but alive.
And before LaPearl can call it in, heavily armed, unmarked government agents swarm the alley. A man steps forward, introduces himself as Dr. Abraham Cornelius, thanks them for their discretion, and his team confiscates the live alien.
And for anyone who might not be deeply entrenched in Marvel lore, Dr. Cornelius is a foundational figure in the Weapon X program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's one of the scientists responsible for lacing Wolverine's skeleton with adamantium. His entire purpose is taking unique biology and turning it into government-controlled weaponry.
Handing an alive, hyper-advanced predator over to Weapon X is a terrifying loose thread.
Very terrifying.
Meanwhile, we have Kraven, who is still on the rooftop. He is fully expecting to be executed by the final surviving member of the Yautja hit squad. He prepares to die in combat.
But the Yautja doesn't attack. Instead, it takes the Skinner's green blood and paints the exact same symbol the Skinner used on Kraven's forehead.
Wow.
Mimicking a human voice, the Predator calls Kraven a great hunter and invites him onto the spaceship. Kraven is recognized as an equal and leaves Earth for a one-on-one fight in the stars.
Which brings me to a question for you listening right now. This entire story hinges on the fragility of our modern world. If the power grid of your life suddenly shut down tomorrow, no phones, no internet, no climate control, how would you react? Would you freeze in the dark, overwhelmed by the sudden silence? Or would you find a way to tap into your own primal instincts to adapt and survive?
It's a great question, but I think the ending of this comic leaves us with an even more provocative thought to mull over.
What's that?
Well, the Yautja's strict honor code meant they didn't see Kraven as a human. They saw him as an equal, based entirely on his actions and resilience, right?
Right.
It raises a fascinating question to ponder. If an advanced alien culture arrived today and judged humanity purely on our ability to adapt, survive, and face our fears without technology, who among us would they actually consider worthy of the stars?
And beyond that, Think about Dr. Cornelius walking away with that live Yautja. Humanity just got its hands on extraterrestrial cloaking tech, plasma weapons, and apex alien biology. Moving forward, the scariest predator in this universe might not be an alien visitor at all.
It might be whatever horrific bioengineered weapon humanity decides to build out of its corpse.
Because at the end of the day, when you strip away the gadgets and the glowing screens, all you really have left are the raw materials. And it turns out human ambition might be the most dangerous raw material of all.